Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing probate. Now, probate is in quotes because probate is frankly a common law term. It's not what we would call a civil law term. So there's two different, if you want to get deep into comparative law, and different countries have different legal systems, but two of the major legal systems that tend to permeate most of the globe are the common law system, which tends to go throughout the Anglosphere or the old British Empire, frankly, because it's basically, it emanates from England. It's common law from that jurisdiction originally. Some people sometimes call it Westminster law. And then there's civil law, which was basically promulgated on the continent. Now, if you go far enough back, they have common ancestry. Basically, the big split was under Henry VIII when he split with the Roman Catholic Church and then set up basically what used to be the ecclesiastical courts became the court of the king's conscience, and you saw sort of a different body of law begin to evolve away from the old system up to that point, which had evolved going all the way back to the 12 tables, going back to the Romans, if you want to go all the way back. Where does that bring us with regard to Thailand? Well, Thailand adopted certain aspects of the Civil and Commercial Code. Now, in their Civil and Commercial Code, I should say. So they have sort of an adopted civil law system that they voluntarily adopted, and they kind of picked and chose different aspects of different countries' laws. But the main body of the Civil and Commercial Code is very, shall we say, reminiscent of sort of German and French civil code. It's important to note that it's uniquely Thai, though, and there are things like we've mentioned the Three Seals law, which predate all of that and are uniquely Thai unto themselves. So there is a body of Thai law which is unique unto itself, but then sort of grafted onto that is a sort of civil law tradition now that's been around for some time. Now, that said, understand that probate is different from, well, as a practical matter, it kind of ends up the same way, where you pass away and they decide what to do with your estate. But probate is a common law term. I've heard what the Thais call their, if you will, probate system, succession. So that's the English translation. I don't like to get into the Thai terminology because, quite frankly, it's beyond my bailiwick. My job, in my opinion, on this channel is to provide information in English regarding the Thai system. So it's kind of an outsider's perspective looking in. But understand the reason in the title for the quotes around probate is because there, strictly speaking, isn't probate in Thailand. They just adjudicate succession matters. That said, I thought of making this video after reading a recent article from the Pattaya Mail, pattayamail.com. Article is titled, "Retiring Abroad in an Uncertain World, What Frank's Story in Pattaya Teaches Us About Global Policy and Local Risk." I've done some prior videos on this, and I did some long-form videos discussing this article as well via our paid news service, which is Integrity News Service. If you're interested in that, you can email us media@integrity-legal.com. The promotional price, if you will, for the remainder of 2025 is 2,000 baht plus VAT for the remainder of 2025. And I'm doing long-form videos. Most of them are coming out to about 30-40 minutes. We did one episode last week. I've just wrapped up on another one. We're finishing editing on that. We should have that up shortly for those subscribers. But that's being sent out via email. In any event, quoting directly, "The legal blind spots," and then under subsection 2, I should say, Frank's story highlights 3 common oversights. Subsection 2, overlooking cross-border estate issues. Without a Thai will, local property can be frozen or disputed after death, even if there's a U.S. one. Well, this is one of those examples where, for whatever reason, writers out there, they're talking beyond their depth, frankly. They don't exactly know what they're talking about. First of all, if you don't have a Thai will and you own local property, let's say you own a condo in Thailand as a foreigner, can be frozen or disputed in death. No, that's not what's going on. If you pass away in what we would call in a common law vernacular intestate, or without some kind of instrument, will, namely, that stipulates where your property goes, then at the end of the day, it's not frozen. It's just the court has to make a determination as to where it goes. And they don't have a will in order to do that. So to say that it's frozen is not correct. Meanwhile, disputed. Okay, yes, there can always be disputes in probate or what we call succession here in Thailand. And even if a will exists, there could be a dispute. So the notion that without a Thai will, strictly speaking, it could all be frozen or disputed is not strictly speaking true. Now, it's better to have one because intestate succession can be difficult to say the least, because you could get into a situation where you've got multiple heirs running around, or the court may decide that they don't know who the heirs are. I mean, there's all sorts of uncertainty. Meanwhile, on top of that, U.S. wills are not exclusive of Thailand. You know, depending on the nature, and again, the underlying circumstances are going to drive the analysis, but you could have a U.S. will that could be processed through the Thai courts, depending on how it's drafted, the formalities associated with it, the terms of it. But bear in mind, the court here has final authority with regard to adjudicating how that will is going to be applied. So the thing to take away from this video is, one, don't believe everything you read, especially out there on the internet regarding really complex legal matters like, dying intestate in Thailand, or dying without a will, or dying with only a U.S. will. These folks on the internet oftentimes don't know what they're talking about. Or, again, I'm not trying to cast aspersions here, but they're talking beyond their depth. I've dealt with U.S. wills that have been probated in the U.S. and then have been processed through, and me myself didn't process them through, but I've worked with Thai attorneys who've had to process them through the Thai system. It can be done. It's not a zero-sum thing. They're not mutually exclusive. If you have a U.S. will, it doesn't mean you can't use it in Thailand. That said, again, it's going to depend on the underlying circumstances. But first thing to take away from this video, don't believe everything you read regarding that. That being said, generally speaking, yeah, it's better to have a will, especially if you have property here in Thailand, than to not have one.